Hello, and welcome to Socially Holistic Podcast. Socially Holistic helps coaches and holistic entrepreneurs and women in heart-centered businesses make sense of social media so they can build their own online network and get more clients. As a heart-centered business owner, you do amazing work. Holly's mission in life is to help you help more people. Help us help more women in business with a 5-star review of this podcast. Please leave one today over at iTunes. The more women who find out about this podcast, the more heart-centered businesses will be successful. Thank you.
Before we get into this week's episode, I'm beyond thrilled to tell you that the Socially Holistic Podcast has its first ever sponsor. I'm especially excited because our sponsor for the month of January is the fabulous Tanja Gardner from the very first episode of the Socially Holistic Podcast. I absolutely love the work that Tanja does, and I'm so happy that she's our first sponsor. If you're worried that your webpage copy isn't quite as clear and powerful as you'd like it to be, Tanja from Crystal Clarity Copywriting has a free gift for you. Make Your Webpage Crystal Clear is a carefully chosen collection of 12 simple, easy-to-implement tips. Each tip is designed to stop you making some of the most common mistakes that drive readers away from your website. Get the Make Your Webpage Crystal Clear guide completely free today by going to bit.ly/clear web page. That's bit.ly.com/clear web page. Thank you. Hello and welcome to the Socially Holistic Podcast, episode 25. This is your host, Holly Wharton, and I'm here with today's special guest, Amethyst Mahoney from Limitless Abundance. Amethyst helps entrepreneurs attract more clients so that they can make more money and bring their gifts to the world without burning out. So welcome, Amethyst.
Thanks, Holly. It's so good to be here.
Thank you very much. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? I think you've got a very, very unique background.
I do. I love doing business, and I've always had a business since I was about 12 years old. And I came from, as far as I'm in the United States, and as far as the United States is concerned, a pretty poor background. Mm-hmm. We actually moved every year because it took about 8 or 9 months for bill collectors to catch up with us. And it was always a really constricting, controlling environment. My stepdad was really abusive and everything like that. And I really hated my life for about 12 years. And I thought, I read a lot, and I knew that there were other ways of living out there. And so I decided that people shouldn't have to live that way, and that one of the best ways to get yourself out of that kind of situation is to actually start your own business. So that's what I did. I did that when I was 12. I actually formed a partnership with a friend of mine. We went around selling Googly Eyed Critters, these little puffball things that we made for people. And ever since then, I've just been hooked on having my own business.
Sounds like a good thing to be hooked on.
Yeah, it's much better than what I could have gotten hooked on, I guess.
Exactly. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business journey? Because you've got this background in psychology, and you also have a lot of experience in tarot, and it's just very, very unique kind of holistic perspective on things. So
I do. I was raised fundamentalist Christian, and luckily, I studied logic, and I was a very logical person. So I had found a book on logic at some point and just devoured that because it was such a different way of thinking than I had been raised. I had been raised to accept everything that I was told as true, that it was a danger to think for yourself, and all of these other controlling things. And when I was 12 years old, we moved into this house, we had moved up to West Virginia for about a year and a half or so. We moved into this house, and the entire house was empty except in a room on a back shelf there was a deck of tarot cards. Mm. And I had heard in my churches and everything that divination was evil and all of this stuff. But I pulled out my deck of cards, and it was just so pretty. I was like, this is like artwork that should be hung in the Vatican. How could this be bad? And so I actually started studying and reading the cards myself, and I hid them. I kept them hidden for years. And I had a lot of guilt and anxiety about them because I was afraid someone would find them or take them away from me. And I really felt like they were my connection to something bigger that was going to be outside of my world. So I would put them in my journal. I would put them in a little plastic baggie, and I would bury them in different places in the yard.
Wow.
So that my parents couldn't find them. And then when they'd go to work, I would dig them up and use them. So I studied them over the years. And at first, the first 7 years or so, I thought the little white book that comes with a tarot deck is very, very tiny. And this was back when there really weren't any tarot books. At the time, there certainly weren't any in a small town in West Virginia. So I thought, I read that little white tarot book like my Bible. And I was like, every definition in here is the one true definition of the card. And I was very rigid about it. But as I would read the cards, things would automatically pop up in my head, like this would be the meaning. But I would look at my little white book and be like, no, that's not what the book says, so that can't be it. And over the years, I realized that, that really is it. Whatever comes up for you in the deck is it. So now I teach people to read cards in about an hour.
Yes, you've got this great video on your website that gives kind of a 15-minute little instruction on how to read the cards. And I love it because it's such a personal perspective. It's go with what you feel, what you're seeing on the card.
Right. And everything in the cards are things they're symbols that have been in every culture around the world for thousands of years. So you already have everything that you need to read the tarot deck. It's already inside you. Everybody knows what a heart is, and everybody has meanings that even when I just say heart, I don't even have to show you a picture of a heart. You know what that can stand for. So that's kind of all the cards are. So I read those for years. Eventually, I kind of got out of that, rigid, controlling, dogmatic thinking, thank goodness. I joined the Army for a while.
Oh.
I was a psychologist for a little over a decade. And it was really interesting to me because I wanted to bring the tarot in to my psychology practice, but I worked for the state. And they were absolutely adamant that I couldn't do it. And then here's people beside me doing art therapy and using the Rorschach test. And I was just like, how can you not let me bring my tarot cards? Like, can I just blow up the pictures of them and not call them tarot cards? Would that be okay? Because I did that one time with a couple of different things. I was like, oh, look at this pretty picture. And everybody was like, wow, that's really cool. But the minute they found out it was a tarot deck, they were just appalled.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So you've got 2 master's degrees and a PhD, I'm going to assume in psychology.
Yeah, in psychology, I actually went and got my PhD is in metaphysical studies and life coaching.
Oh.
And then I went back and got a second master's degree just to make sure, and that's actually in public health.
So how do you work all of this education into your business?
I actually decided that it's not that important. When I went back and got that second master's degree, a couple of weeks after I graduated, I took my husband out to dinner and I said, I want to go do tarot readings for a living. And he was a little upset. It's like, how many thousands of dollars did we just throw at that master's degree? And I said, you know what? The most important part of that master's degree was learning that I didn't need it.
That's fantastic. Sometimes the things that we go to learn are not the things that we end up learning.
Exactly.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Limitless Abundance? I absolutely love the name of your business, and I love the concept.
Thank you. I really feel like it's the one theme that's run through my entire life is there is enough for everybody, that no matter what situation you're in, the universe, it's limitless. You have everything that you need to create the abundance that you want to in your life, whatever that means for you. And I would encourage you to add money to that, because we do have to have money to have a roof over our heads and food and things like that. A lot of the spiritual people that I work with especially don't like it when I say that, but I lived out of my car for 2 years, and I can tell you from personal experience that I can help a lot more people when I have enough money to live in an actual house with food and things that I need, as opposed to living out of my car eating every couple of days. So there's always, no matter what your deepest, darkest despair of where you are in your life, you have to know that there's always something better out there.
And I think that's something that so many people struggle with when they are in that deep, dark place, whether it's living in their car or elsewhere.
Right. And when I was a very young kid, I almost committed suicide. I stayed up all night with a gun in my mouth and thought really long and hard about, was it worth it? Even though I knew that I would be able to get out of it eventually, I knew that I had at least 6 more years before I could get away from my parents. And could I wait those 6 more years? And, my answer was yes, because then I'd have another maybe 40, 50, 60 years after that.
That's quite a challenging situation for such a young girl to be involved in, and to actually get to that point where you're making that decision, should I live or should I die?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sucked. That's the word you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. No filters, just say it how it is.
Yeah.
So you pulled yourself out of that, and you've moved on, and you've created this amazing transformational business. So why don't you tell us how you work with people? You've got this new tagline for your business, which is personal power, personal freedom. Tell us a little bit about that.
I really think it's important. I used to kind of talk about attracting clients, create a business you love, and everything about that. But it really is about the whole of your life and having the personal freedom that you need. And I think part of that is because everyone tried to control me so much when I was growing up. It was all about control. If, my stepdad found out I rolled up my jeans at school, he'd beat me because I wasn't allowed to do that. So no matter what your situation is, you do have personal freedom to create the life that you want. And you have the power to do that. So sometimes we read these books like the Law of Attraction stuff, The Secret, and all of those kinds of things. And we sit and we do our affirmations and we try to imagine with our vision boards and things like that. But things don't actually happen for us. And I am a very strong believer that you have to take inspired action to make those things happen. So that's where your personal power comes in. It's not just about the intention of those things. It's about taking the steps and creating the path that is actually going to get you there. So a lot of people will tell me, I'm just waiting for my ship to come in. And I'm like, you need to go swim out to it.
Yes.
It's right there.
You might not be able to see it, but it's out there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm a really big believer in that, and that's kind of what the whole Biztopia challenge is about, is I run this group in January. It's going to be 60 days this year, and we have different speakers and teachers come in, and it's about creating the whole of your life. I talk to people about creating a 24-hour work week so that they have the time for spiritual studies and the time with friends and family that most small business owners do not have right now. Most people are working themselves half to death, working 60, 80, 100 hours a week. I used to do that, and it really is about creating that balance and not waiting for life to happen. Like, I waited for years to start traveling, and finally I said, what can I do to be able to travel even though, I'm trying to run this business? And it just hit me. This June, I'm going to be in London doing a live event, and I'm actually going to take about a week to a week and a half off. So I'm going to have playtime while I'm in London, England, and then I'm going to have a weekend workshop where I can also do my business. The following year, I'll be in Australia. So it's about combining things so that you don't have to compartmentalize your life and you don't have to wait. You can combine your spiritual life, your physical life, and your family and relationships and your business.
And I think it's a very important to look at business from a holistic perspective, as you are doing, because so many people just get focused on creating that amazing business and their personal life completely falls apart in the meantime.
Definitely.
So one of the things that you help people with is figuring out their life purpose and creating a life, as you said, that's in alignment with that. How do you usually work with people? Do you work one-to-one? Do you run courses, retreats? How do you do this?
I do all kinds of things. I do have a one-on-one group. I have a special 9-month-long program called the Amethyst program right now. Everyone wanted me to create an Amethyst program, which I think is a little self-serving, but my clients seem to like it, so okay.
It's a nice name and it's a nice stone, so
there you go.
I think people find it attractive for that reason.
So that group's going to start later this year, but that one really is about having a group where we have a mastermind and we go through everything about setting up your business so that it's kind of a one-stop shop, so that you don't have to, take this program over here and that program over there and then try to mesh all the pieces together. That one, and you also get one-on-one time with me. And so that one really is about helping you through that 9 months, create everything in your business to make sure that you are being successful in every aspect of your life. And then along the way throughout the year, I do have different group programs that I run as well. Some to help people learn how to read the tarot cards better, because I do talk to people about their life purpose as being a tarot archetype. Mm-hmm. And so you can learn more about that, learn how to figure out what your archetype is in the first place. And then at the end of the year, I run a business planning university where we look back, at what happened to your business during the year and then creating a plan for your next successful year.
I think that's really important, too, is that a lot of people they kind of keep planning for the future, but they don't ever stop and take the time and look at what went right this year, what went wrong, what do I need to work on, and how can I make that better?
Yeah, that's a big thing. And a lot of people are constantly in creation mode. Mm-hmm. So I'll meet people who create program after book after book, but they never actually end up marketing that first thing. Yeah. And so they might have a little bit of success with it, but when you don't look back at what worked about it and what didn't work about it, which is usually just your marketing and promotional schedule, then you're constantly trying to come up with new things, and it's very stressful. And really, a lot of times you already have most of the pieces of what you need to create successful programs and products. You just need to learn how to put them out there better.
I totally agree with that. And another thing with people that are kind of compulsive creators is once you've got all of these different products out there, you've got this website that's just packed full of stuff, and it's like people that arrive they don't know where to go, they don't know what's right for them. There's just so many options, and it's like they get lost in the options and don't take action.
Yeah, and one of the most important things that I talk to people about is to send people to a landing page. Like if you go over to the Biztopia page, you get to sign up for the Biztopia challenge. That's it.
Yep.
That's your choice. And it actually increases the number of people who sign up. Most people, especially spiritual and holistic entrepreneurs, they think that they have to throw everything at the person at once. And I'm not saying don't create it's called a brochure page, mm-hmm. your website page where you have all of those choices. But the first place people need to go is that one yes or no page. And study after study has shown that actually not only helps more people sign up to your business, but it takes the stress off of them.
Mm-hmm. There's no thinking. It's just you've got this thing. Do you want it or not?
Right. It's not do you want it or do you want it this way or do you want it in green or do you want it with a side of pie? I'm a little food-oriented, by the way.
I actually came across this accountant the other day who, when you send her all of your information to do your taxes, she sends you a chocolate cake.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
So I thought that was perfect.
Yeah.
So one thing that you mentioned was working with life purpose and archetypes. How does that work?
So you can figure out what your life purpose is using your fingerprints. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's the highest ranking fingerprint, or sometimes there's more than one. I've actually translated them to the tarot archetypes. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting. You'll find people who do the life purpose fingerprint and handprint stuff. And I work with people in what's called the International Institute for Hand Analysis. I've taken some classes with some of the leaders from there. But I'm the first person to translate everything to the tarot.
And the tarot is such a universal tool because it's something that exists all over the world and so many people have access to it. So that probably helps kind of make sense of things for people.
Right. It's a lot easier to just look at the picture than to try to explain what everything means. It's way easier. And when I talked to one of the top ladies in the IIHA, Renelle Coburn, she actually has a book out about it. And when I told her I was translating them to tarot, she was like, yes, finally. She said it makes total sense, but she doesn't know enough about tarot to do it. And she was so excited to hear that someone was finally doing it because she's like, I've been looking at it for years. I just, that's not my area.
No, that's perfect. That sounds really, really interesting. So what would you say are your top tips for how to create a life that's in alignment with your purpose?
Well, once you figure out what your archetype is, it's really easy to kind of see the energy that's behind all of the decisions that you could be making. So there's different archetypes, like there's the magician or the emperor or even the hermit. And these are, even if you don't know the tarot, if I say magician, emperor, or hermit, you kind of have some experience with what that might be.
And you get an instant mental image in your mind.
Exactly. And so you can kind of think, well, the magician would probably approach their business a lot differently than the hermit would. So in the Biztopia Challenge, we're going to be talking about when you create your overall year plan and then your work week and how you're going to set up what you do in your business. It's not a cookie cutter thing. So some programs you'll go to and people will be like, well, you have to do JVs, you have to get on stages, you have to do this, that, and the other thing. We want to look at where are you going to have the best results from the energy that you put into your business using that archetype. So if you're, let's say, the hermit, your best energy is not going to be from trying to get on stages and speaking in front of people every single week. And going to network meetings like 6 times a month. I've known people who were hermits who did that. Now, they wear themselves out. They don't have the energy to be out like that. So it really is about, that's not to say that you're never going to get on a stage. You do, still want to look at doing that, of course, because it's a great way to get your name out there. But you want to build buffer time around that. You want to be really clear about what you're going to say. A hermit has to have everything written out. It's about gathering that knowledge and making sure their notes are in order, making sure that everything's kind of perfect as far as their speech will go, and really feeling confident and strong in what they're going to say to people before they go out there. And then it's about making sure that you have time beforehand, like you're not running yourself crazy before you go speak at an event or before you go networking. You want to have some quiet time and make sure you're in the right space. And then you want some downtime afterwards as well to make sure that you recover that energy. So it's not about going, to networking meetings 6 times a month. Now, someone else who is like the star, who is all about getting on stages and things like that, they're definitely going to want to go to multiple networking meetings or multiple speaking engagements each month. And they're going to have the energy to do that.
And they're probably going to even get recharged every time they get on stage and talk about their business.
Most of them do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everybody. I'm a star and I need a little, but I need a little downtime too. But most of them do. And it's really where they shine. So it's all about, where do you shine in your business? Someone who is a Hierophant archetype really needs to be teaching to groups of people. So you really want to help make sure that they set up a signature program, that they have 2 or possibly 3 times a year where they really focus on those kind of group programs, and that they really have a strong marketing plan on how to get as many people in those programs as possible, because they really need to create that kind of following.
Interesting. So how do you work with people? Then you work with them with the handprint analysis, and then from there you translate it to the tarot archetype, and you work with them to see what their strengths are and how they can maximize those strengths in their business.
Right. And then we create their signature programs is one of the very first things that I do with people after we figure out their archetype. Because the problem with spiritual and holistic entrepreneurs, I just made up a new word. We're holistical entrepreneurs. But we all have so many things that we want to do. And so we do kind of a brain dump to get all of those things out of your head and then create a program that makes sense for people so that you can actually start teaching something. Mm-hmm. You know, instead of jumping from I'm going to teach this thing to I'm going to teach that thing and I'm going to teach the other thing, we need to start with one thing and then build on that. So it's really about getting you organized and getting all of those thoughts out so they're not running around your head, sucking up all your energy.
I think it's so easy to let that happen because if you know, as many solopreneurs spend so much time alone and in their head and generating ideas, and it's really, really important to get those things out of your head and into a place where you can organize them, isn't it?
Right, and it's important to connect with other of the solopreneurs too, which is why I love the Biztopia Challenge so much, because we do have a group on Facebook where everyone can post what their challenges are right now, what they're excited about in their business, and, you know, get some help if they need it. You know, if they are creating their signature program or if they are trying to do something in their business, then you can get feedback from other people.
Mm. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I absolutely loved the Biztopia Challenge last year. It was so useful to me, and I met so many amazing people in it. So let's recap really quickly. You said it's going to be starting on the 14th of January.
Yes.
And it's running for 60 days this time.
It is. Okay. It's going to go until, I think it comes out to right around the spring equinox. Is that week is, I think, when we're going to be wrapping it up.
Okay. So people can join at any time, can't they?
Yes, people can join at any time, but the recordings are only going to be available for 24 hours. And that's because I have clients, you know, in so many countries that for some people, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I believe is when they're going to be, they're going to be at noon is when the calls are. That could be the middle of the night for some people.
Yeah.
So they're available for 24 hours. And then if you join later or if you don't make it within that 24 hours, you can get the Biztopia Gold membership, which is extremely affordable. It's $27.
Yeah, and this year I invested in that, and it was so useful because I don't think I attended any of the calls live. I just downloaded them all when they were available and listened to them when I was at the gym or doing whatever, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, good.
Yes, I loved it.
You get the downloadable MP3, so you can listen to it away from your computer, you know, in your phone and doing whatever else. And you get some cool bonuses when you get the upgrade. You get tickets, a ticket to either one of my live events for the year, if you want to attend live. So there's some really cool bonuses like that are really awesome.
It's really well worth the investment because it's such a small investment and you get so much. So for people who haven't heard of the Biztopia Challenge, why don't you explain to us the format?
So each week we're going to have 2 training calls, and you'll get a whole bunch of different information. We're going to have more guest speakers this year. Last year we only had a couple. But this year I really want to make sure that we're getting kind of everything that you need in your business covered. So there'll be people talking to you about how to, you know, make sure you're on purpose with your business, that your business is in alignment with who you really are. We're going to be talking about your subconscious mindset behind your business. We're going to be talking about, you know, how to manage your energy and set up your weeks and what to do if you're an introvert. So how to manage your energy around that. So there's a lot of background kind of things that you kind of have to create an energetic foundation before you actually start building the physical business. Then we talk about your actual physical business. So how to create your signature programs, how to put out different products and services, how to attract more clients, how to build your list, how to manage your social media, all of those physical things that people think about when they think of business. So we're going to cover all of it so that it's January. This is a great time. People want to really get started and kick off their business for the year. And if you get the gold membership upgrade, you're going to have these recordings in your business success library forever. So sometimes you may run across an interview that doesn't quite make a lot of sense for your business right now because you haven't gotten to that step. But 6 months from now, it may be exactly the thing that you need to know about.
Yeah, it's so important to point out because I think so many people might not be at the right moment with their business to perhaps take advantage of everything as it goes live. But later on, as you said, you've got these files, you download them, you keep them, and you can listen to them whenever you want. So if it's not relevant now, it probably will be in a few months.
Yes. And the cool thing about the Biztopia Challenge this year is I do have an affiliate program. So people who, tell their friends about the challenge, if their friends order the membership upgrade, you do get a financial reward for telling your friends about it. But also this year, there's a special spot at the end of the program reserved for the highest affiliate. So whoever, and it's based on a point system. So it's not just, a lot of times people will think, well, I can't send thousands of people to go sign up for this thing because I don't have a big list. Mm-hmm. And so I actually do it on a point system. It's based on not just the number of people you send, but those people who actually end up upgrading or investing in other products or services, you get more points. Mm. So it really does level the playing field. And I am still the only person that I know of who does this. I've talked to several people and several of my business friends who run affiliate programs, and they just don't do it. I'm like, you guys have got to level it. So that's the big thing. And then if you are the top affiliate, you will actually get to speak if you want to. Sometimes I'll have a top affiliate who is too shy. It's very rare, but every once in a while. So if they don't, it'll go to the next top affiliate. But someone will win a spot to speak on the challenge. And that's going to get you in front of thousands of people in front of 115 countries.
That's amazing. I think that's such a useful prize for your affiliates because it's helping them with their business.
Yes. It could really, really kick you up in, way up.
Fantastic. So while we're talking about it, I've got a shortened link for everyone. It's bit.ly/BIZCHAL. So that's BizChal. So if anyone would like to sign up for that, I cannot recommend it enough. Last year's Biztopia Challenge was where I first heard of Amethyst, and I listened to every single recording. As I said, I downloaded them all. I listened to them. They were absolutely fantastic, so useful, and again, I cannot recommend it enough. So even if you think you don't have the time to listen to 2 calls a week, sign up and do upgrade to the gold because it's so worth it.
Thank you, Holly.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love it so much. It always tickles me to death when people say that they liked one of my things because we all need that reinforcement of we're actually doing something in the world.
And it's something that's so useful because helping people with their business, you're helping them help people. So I think that's fantastic.
Thank you. So
one last question. Do you have any women business mentors? Or are there any women in business who inspire you?
Oh, yes. My biggest change in my business came from when I invested in a program with Jen August. Mm-hmm. And she actually has an interview during the Biztopia Challenge about your subconscious mindset. So you will be hearing from her. And then PJ Van Hol, who I am working with for the next, at least 3 years. I know. I've got all of it planned out already. I actually, it was really funny because she has a huge, she calls it her Big Kahuna program. And I met her, gosh, it's going 2 or 3 years ago. But I met her and I said, well, I'm doing Jen's programs right now and I need to be with Jen for another year. But after that, I want to do your big program. And, you know, when someone says that to you, you're like, okay, I don't know if I'm ever going to see this person again, but whatever. And so then when I was finally able to, I planned it out on my calendar to work with her for at least the next, it'll be 2 to 3 years. Ooh. So I'm really excited about that. PJ Van Hol leads the Listapalooza, which is a list building challenge. And once we're done with Biztopia, I'm going to tell you about Listapalooza because that happens in the summer. So if you want to continue to create your business building and list building and kind of the whole thing that we do in the Biztopia Challenge, you'll hear about that. And she's going to tell people, I believe she's going to talk about her, what used to be called the Client Attraction Blueprint, but it really is about how to focus on the piece that's next in your business so that you can get more done in less time. So good. She is fabulous. And she actually helped me put the pieces together for the original Biztopia Challenge. And she let me win a spot to speak on Listapalooza. So I love PJ.
Good. All right. Anyone else that you'd like to mention?
Those are my 2 favorites.
Okay. Good. That's good. Good to have two big, kind of your top people.
Too big. Yeah. And people, you know, everyone likes to mention the really, really big players. But part of my life purpose is that I'm actually an innovator, and I tend to not follow the big players. Yeah. I tend to follow the people that I'm closest to. And I go and hang out at PJ's house, and I go and hang out with Jen, too. So they're kind of my buddies and my mentors. I like it like that.
Is there anything else you would like to share with us about what you do or how you can help people or how people can work with you?
Really getting involved in the Biztopia Challenge is the best way. Okay. If you're interested in working with me or just finding out more, it's free, like you said, to sign up. So you can give people that link again, and then they can upgrade from there. And then you'll hear, that'll put you on my newsletter list. And so you'll hear about all of my upcoming programs and things like that. When people are interested in working with me one-on-one, I like to have a conversation with them about, you know, is that the best fit for them? You know, do you want to work one-on-one or would a group program better serve you at this time? I'm very adamant about a lot of the people who have come to me have come from having these conversations with other business people. They've called them for that conversation, and those business people have tried to bully them into a $20,000 program. Ugh. Yeah. And so that's so not my style. I'm really interested in what's going to serve you the most at this time. So we need to look at what's going to stretch you, but what's not going to break you.
Sounds good. So where can people find you online?
I'm at www.amethystmahoney.com. But they really should go to that link that you gave them.
Okay, I'll say that again. That's bit.ly/BIZCHAL, and that's for the Biztopia Challenge. And I will include all of these links in the show notes as well.
Yay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being our guest, Amethyst. It was so lovely to speak with you, and I cannot wait for this year's Biztopia Challenge.
Yeah, it starts tomorrow.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. And remember to visit sociallyholistic.com/SHP25 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you. If you're worried that your webpage copy isn't quite as clear and powerful as you'd like it to be, Tanja from Crystal Clarity Copywriting has a free gift for you. Make Your Webpage Crystal Clear is a carefully chosen collection of 12 simple, easy-to-implement tips. Each tip is designed to stop you making some of the most common mistakes that drive readers away from your website. Get the Make Your Webpage Crystal Clear guide completely free today by going to bit.ly/clearwebpage. That's bit.ly.com/clearwebpage. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Socially Holistic Podcast with your host, Holly Wharton. Please help us help more women in business by giving us a 5-star review of this podcast. The more women who find out about this podcast, the more successful businesses there will be. So please leave a 5-star review today over at iTunes. Thank you.